अनामिका से अनुरोध करूंगी कि वे अपना व्याख्यान यहाँ पर प्रस्तुत करें। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, Anamika, Vasanti, the other Vasanti, Professor Vasanti, Professor Garima. I'll call her Tutundi, and Shashima, Shashidi, Raviji, Alokji, and friends and scholars all over. You must have noticed, women all the world over seem to be smiling and laughing their hearts out on posters, screens, everywhere, in lanes, sub-lanes, crossroads, everywhere you see women walking tall with the hijab called smile. Smile they use as a beautiful hijab that covers the suffering, and they are very hesitant to show this suffering. मैं हमेशा कहती हूँ कि हंसी नए ज़माने का घूंघट है। आप घर से पिटकर भी निकले हो, बस में आपने तरह तरह की भद्दी चीज़ें सुनी हो, अपने को शुद्ध शरीर में रिड्यूस होते हुए देखा हो, तभी भी एक बड़ी सी मुस्कान पहनकर आप रिसेप्शन पर रहती है तैनात। हॉस्पिटैलिटी सर्विसेज की ही मुस्कान की बात नहीं कह रही, हर जगह। But this smile, this laughter is not only a hijab, it is also a strategy. It is subversion, it is an insight into survival technique, and it's like, one is reminded of the grace and the larger-than-life presence of the Devi in Vaksuttam. I've got certain texts, and rather than discussing theories, I like to illustrate the theories of humor, how humor has been used as a skipping rope, not only to melt the extra ounces, but also to go beyond the barriers of caste, class, nationalities, and all the binaries in fact. Gone are the days when women used rope, even skipping rope, for hanging themselves. Now we think we have better things to do. And intertextuality, if you can, I'm talking, and there are so many guests, there are so many scholars here, initiated scholars, so I'm not going to the basics, but because there are students too. So I better read out my intertextual dialogues with some of the major texts of our time. I have not translated them, I have just transplanted them from one cultural context to another. And this larger than life, this image of being larger than life, we have captured from two sources. One is, the first source is the archetypal image of Devi in our instruction, in our scriptures. And the second source is the linguistic ebullience of Dalit and Adivasi women. These are the two inspirations behind our intertextual plights. So now I will go pick the four texts and illustrate what I mean. as I told you, this Vak Suktam is there in the 10th mandala of Rig Veda. And we can call it a slice of Ekretre fem, what Ellen Siksu calls Ekretre feminine, because it has been composed by a Vedic Brahmavadini, the Vedic Rishika. And because I had to transplant it into modern context, I had, of course, made changes, but this is how the poem goes. When you read the poem with me, you would also notice how sisters, I see a Western presence there, a girl sitting right there. Even you can enter into a dialogue with these texts, because as you understand, many people, even Andrew Rich, talk about universal sisterhood, because most of women's suffering is rooted in women's body. So there is a definite connect among women of different nationalities, classes, castes, and clans. So, and here in this text, you can easily read, there are so many grammatic transgressions. You know, it transgresses the rules of grammar. The outrageous flow, spontaneous flow of the text, and the oscillation between the semiotic and the symbolic there. You know, the linguistic quirks, the metaphysical juxtapositions, the liquid conjunctions, even punctuation marks, they want to break loose. They are trying to, and you know, when I read it aloud, you would see for yourself how they're breaking boundaries and going beyond. And you know, applying the tools of French feminist criticism, if we read such poems, we can read, you know, make an immediate connection. And now the poem, please. You can also notice how the chain of signifies and the chain of multiple identities flow one after another in the semiotic fluid. In Urdu, there's one liner, umr bhar ek mulaqat chali jati hai. One meeting, a last salve, and a last for your life. You know, it casts such a tremendous influence on you. Once you have a glimpse of higher truth and higher self, the influence can go on traveling within you till you also walk tall as this Devi in this poem, Vak. A Vak, for instance, for Vak is actually the translation, is the Devi for Vak Shakti. So let's see. The poem says, here I am, the linguistic ebullience all around you. In the Rig Veda, it's just of 4 lines. But I have played upon the semiotic nuances just to blow the meaning out to you, like a conch. All around you and within you, whosoever sees me, this is the speech. Whosoever hears me alone. I am the taste and the tongue, the fragrance of the earth, the essence of all that flowers and fructifies. Whoever knows me. I am speech. I have conceived and delivered all that you could think of and perceive. I bestow energy at will. I am energy, the essence of speech. I am light, warmth, and sound. I am all that electrifies and keeps you sound, spellbound. I wear the sky, I electrify. I am silence, your refuge. No house can contain me. I am housed in many. Rudra, Vasu, Aditya, Mitra, Varun, Agni, and Ashwin. Savitur, Pushan, and Bhog. They have housed me in their being. I compete, I am replete with spardha. I protect and elect. The seven seas are my archer. I am the dawn and the dusk. These refer to Ratri Sukta and Diva Sutra. I am the night outspread in your being. Beyond time, I am time. Mahakal holds me in embrace. I am Kali, and Kal, I embrace all. I have begotten my father. I have mothered him. I flow all around, in all 10 directions. Sun, 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 I go. I blow like breeze. I seize and go beyond all time and space. I am writ, some width, born to spread like ether. I drop like a mighty tear. The first drop in the love-lorn eyes of Shiva, the drop of manna or Rudraksh, call it what you will. I am the breath, the primordial breath. Like the hint of a wave I rose in the ocean of peace, in the dawn of creation, in the deepest lull. Death there wasn't and no deathlessness. There was no light and no darkness when I rose to spread, aglow with Trigunayat, Tam, Raj, Sat, etc. It goes on. But what I want you to notice is that the kora, what Julia Kristeva refers to as the kora, you can see the oscillation between one great awakening of rising more it's a larger than life image. At one end, this is the larger than life awareness. At the other end, the rhythms, half forgotten rhythms of the baby pushing his head out of woman's womb, the withdrawal and the seizure of breaths. All these things, ancient for they have been captured. Why? To make you rise tall, beyond every boundary. The second text that I have chosen for you is from a folk song, Maori folk song. Marx and Freud, both in their own ways, said that laughter could be curative. Laughter, makes a therapeutic release and creates space for change. But there have been surveys by sociologists like Mary Douglas, which prove that laughter and sense of humor could also be a source of promoting status quo. Humor, not only if one of the partners in an oppressive relationship has a good sense of humor, he or she can let the relationship drag for years. And even the community singing can help the oppressor maintain whatever patterns he has adopted in life. In Maori, among the Maori Adivasis, Aborigines, there is a custom. Whenever two people fight in the village, especially man and wife fight in the village, a team of women go to their door and they start singing. And what do they sing? They sing songs which could appease the oppressor and arouse pity for the oppressed. I have with great difficulty translated it, because I had really looked to consult so many dictionaries for finding out parallels. And then I added a little bit of it. Again, I have transplanted it from one cultural context to another to make it more intelligible. But this is the essence of one of the songs. Just see it for yourself. How it gets dialogic. and it is said, it says, ईसा मसीह औरत नहीं थे, वरना मासिक धर्म 11 बरस की उम्र से उनको ठिठकाए ही रहता देवालय के बाहर। बेथलेहम और यरूशलेम के बीच के कठिन सफर में उनके हो जाते कई तो बलात्कार और उनके दुधमुहे बच्चे 40 दिन और 40 रातें जब काटते सड़क पर भूख से मिल-मिला कर मरते एक-एक कर। ईसा को फुर्सत नहीं मिलती सूली पर चढ़ जाने की भी, मरने की फुर्सत भी कहाँ मिली सीता को लवकुश के तीरों के लक्ष्य भेद। You know what happens? You know, they are trying to appease the man of the house. Take pity on the woman. Women have suffered for so long. So instead of, so you cannot generalize. Marx and Freud have shaped up centuries, the thought process of centuries. But you can see that, you know, feminist interventions are not, you know, are presenting the other side of the story. There are no universes. And that's why feminist critics say that we are a series. I mean, we are a series of not only signifieds, but multiple eyes in progress. And there is no, truth can only be tentative and culture specific. So this is an example where the pain of women's life is been, evoked, and of course painted big, but to arouse not a sense of shame, but a sense of appeasement. This is what I read in the Maori textbook. Now the third illustration offers you an intertextual dialogue with the famous folk singer of America, and her name is Christina Levin. Now there is a feminist scholar called, German scholar, Linda Narosa. She has observed, after a survey, she also is an anthropologist, she has made a very important observation. She says that women do not laugh either to ridicule others or to, or to cut somebody down to size. They use humor against themselves, but not to demean oneself, but to promote that solidarity in the suffering sisters. Because with a sense of humor, and instead of jokes, violent jokes, what to say, I mean symbolically violent jokes, they use personal narratives to approach the co-sufferer, suffering sisterhood. And so they use humor to build bonds. Like in this particular poem of this folk singer who has been brought to a party to sing and dance, and represent folk culture. This woman sings, and here you can see when she sings about, she's cutting, poking joke, and she's cutting, she is ridiculing, not ridiculing, actually this is self-deprecatory humor. She is actually laughing at her own self. And within the song, you would notice two people getting together. She refers to a friend from Middle East who had been her classmate in high school. And see how the song closes. This is not this is a long song, but I have tried to get this again is a transplantation, a little bit of it, because we can't translate such rooted texts without annotations if we don't get intertextual. Let's see how humor has been used to build a serious form, and how if you're feeling disempowered, then if you you start a humorous narrative, and this is how it clicks the suffering woman and dilutes that state of suffering. This is about heel ki chappal. Heel ki chappal, why women wear this. Oh Baba, ye giri, wo giri main to. चकरा रहा है मेरा माथा, 1 मिनट में इतना ऊंचा हो जाने का चस्का मार डालेगा मुझे। इतनी ऊंची हील चला ही नहीं जाता, भाव में उड़ी मेरी मेहनत के, भाव में उड़े मेरी मेहनत के पैसे। सरकारी बस में खड़ी हूँ अब, पकड़े हुए दोनों हाथों से हैंडल। ऑटो तो सारे हैं भरे हुए ऊंची एड़ी वालियों से, निकम्मे हुए पैर जिनके मेरे ही जैसे। मत मारी गई थी हमारी, क्यों खरीद लेती हूँ भारी भारी झुमके, चुस्त अंग वस्त्र जिन्हें पहनकर सहज सांस भी मुझसे भरी नहीं जाती। अच्छा चुप हो जाती हूँ, जाती हूँ मस्त झूमने वापस डांस फ्लोर पर। नाचने को बुलाया है आपने, अपनी प्यारी पौला अब्दुल के साथ हुई हूँ हाजिर। स्कूल से ही हम दोनों ऐसे थे, पगलेट, महामूड, बिंदास। Now, of course, there are changes, but this is what she wanted to say. How she's, this humor connects with all the fellow subjects. Now, the fourth category of violent juxtaposition of humor and pathos, personal and political, history and legend, in the poems of Sylvia Plath, Anne Sexton, a confessionist, and many others like my own, like me. Here this juxtaposition is used as a technique for pulling down the hierarchy between personal and political, cosmic and commonplace. All the binaries are made to sit on a mat. एक चटाई पर बैठा देता है. Humor is a great leveler. This we all understand. And जब अपने पर हंसते हैं तो that हंसी connects. वह हंसी बहुत कुछ कहती थी, फिर भी अपने में रहती थी, देती थी सबको दाव बंदूक. तो ये दाव है, एक स्ट्रैटेजी है, ये सर्वाइवल की भी और चेंज की भी, क्योंकि we have lost hope. We don't think that men are beyond repair. We still have faith in the innate goodness, and that's why Gandhi, Ambedkar, and Buddha and Christ and all these people are still held high in women's poetry. Now, as the illustration of this, you could let me allow to read a few texts from my own book. There is a particular thing, as I told you that ropes were used for hanging them once, ropes were used for hanging sometimes. Women felt, in ancient times even in recent time, felt so disgusted with life that they committed suicide. Here is the case of a woman, and I'm reading this because this has been a close friend of mine, who decided to hang herself, and then this is what happened. To be or not to be, शेक्सपियर याद आ रहे हैं. अनुष्ठान है पूरा, साड़ी का फंदा बनाकर लटक जाना पंखे से. इतना आसान नहीं मरना भी. पंखे पर धूल जमी है जैसे सदियों की. फंदा लगा लूं कि पहले पोंछूं मैं यह धूल पंखे की आंचल से. This is a common dilemma. So this is what women suffer. And there is another piece which says, मैं उनको फर्नीचर, मैं उनको रोज झाड़ती हूँ, पर वे ही हैं इस पूरे घर में जो मुझको कभी नहीं झाड़ते. रात को जब सब सो जाते हैं, अपने इन बर्फाते पांवों पर आयोडीन मलती हुई सोचती हूँ मैं, किसी जन्म में मेरे प्रेमी रहे होंगे फर्नीचर, कछुआ गए होंगे किसी शाप से ये. मैं झाड़ने के बहाने जो छूती हूँ इनको, आंसुओं से या पसीने से लथपथ इनकी गोदी में छुपाती हूँ सर. एक दिन फिर से जी उठेंगे ये, थोड़े थोड़े से तो जी भी उठे हैं. गई रात चुप 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 करते हैं. ये शायद इनका चिड़िया का जन्म है, कभी आदमी भी हो जाएंगे. जब आदमी ये हो जाएंगे, मेरा रिश्ता इनसे हो जाएगा क्या वो ही वाला. जो धूल से झाड़न का. Now I was just referring to the fact that beyond these mythical constructs and case examples, case studies, the women have learned the technique. This is my conjecture and I have illustrations. This is my own conjecture that women have learned a lot from their Dalit, the linguistic ebullience of their Dalit and Adivasi sisters. Because suffering has a lot to do with, linguistic ebullience has a lot to do with this level of suffering. So the echo-rich, vigorous, language, gushing out of the self, is so grand in Dalit writers and even Adivasi writers that maybe middle-class women like you and me, I understand that middle class is not to be ridiculed because I know middle class should be used as a hyphen. Hyphen in connecting the so-called higher and the lower. Middle class must make its presence felt as a connector because they know the sufferings of poverty and they also have tasted the insipid state of being on being up there. So they can easily build a bridge across and work towards a harmonious, more egalitarian society which doesn't believe in highs and lows. So breaking the hierarchy between the high and the low, the classical and the popular, the ancient and modern, and east and west, even that, we are actually trying. What are we trying to do to establish a dialogue? So, and the Dalit sisters, if I read out something from a Dalit poet, her name is Lalita Lenin. This is how it reads. आजादी और मुक्ति के स्वर्ग में, दलित दीनता के कचरे में, चतुर्वर्ण की शतरंज में, आरक्षण के समतल में, जुड़वा अट्टहास करते वक्त, हवा के झोंके से झड़े पत्ते झुलस कर दब जाते हैं, ऊपर नीचे छलांगे मारते, तराजू के पलड़े के बीच से बंधती सूर्य रश्मियां, नए अंकुरों को स्फूर्ति देती हैं, प्रारंभ रहित धारावाहिक कहानी सी. There are lots that I could point out by way of discussing the libido, angst transmitted into the inner folds of language, twists and turns, and whatnot, fields of energy. There are lots that we can discuss, but there is, of course, we are running short of time, so I'm not going into details. Beyond this Dalit and Adivasi sister, these writers, we have also, to write combing, I must say, हम लोग मिथकों की जटाएं सुलझा रहे हैं. जितनी भी औरतें हैं, वो कविताएं लिखें ना लिखें, लेकिन जो भी भाषा वो बोलती हैं अपने बच्चों से, अपने पड़ोसियों से, जो वो घर बना रही हैं, मैं सबसे बड़ा स्त्रीवाद का यही योगदान मानती हूँ कि they are thinking of a world where blood bonding and sexual bonding is not a prerequisite of family. Mormonism believes in a family of friends. So if soul bonding is most important for every Mormonist writer, and language they use as a tool of subversion. If you remember, of course you all know about Laugh of Medusa. How that, Ellen Sixu uses her image, this lady from this construct from Greek mythology, how she had been reinterpreted, nailed down to suit feminist concepts. Now in our own land, if we read Devi Saptashati, Durga Saptashati, the second part, you would come across a portion where Devi is, laughing in the middle of a battlefield. She not only laughs, but also holds a cup of asava, or a liquor, and drinks it, and then says certain things which I'm skipping, but But you must go home and do your, read the portions where she hits Mahishasur right here at the throat. In traditional wisdom, this is the seat of this Vishuddha Chakra, and this is the seat of language also. So my own interpretation is that this is symbolic violence where throat, the seat of language, is being pierced. This is piercing. And why is it pierced? Because the woman force is trying to change the linguistic texture and the mindset. जो क्या है वो मुश्किल क्या है और हम लोगों की औरतों की सिर्फ इतनी वो आप देखते होंगे कि पूरी दुनिया में एक स्त्री आंदोलन ही है जिसने एक बूंद खून नहीं बहाया। अरे जो जन्म देती है वो मारना नहीं चाहती, वो सिर्फ चाहती है कि आप उसकी ऊंचाई के हो जाएं। शिक्षा दी स्त्री की ऊंचाई अगर पुरुषों की ऊंचाई से ज्यादा होगी तो औरत अकेली रह जाएगी ना। लोग अक्सर कहते हैं कि पढ़ने वाली औरतें, लोग ये कहते हैं कि आजकल की औरतें सिर्फ उनके स्नेह तत्व का क्षरण हो गया है। लेकिन अगर ध्यान से उनका पढ़े लिखा हुआ तो आपको लगेगा कि पहले की स्त्रियां तो तन मन से सेवा करती थी, लेकिन सिर्फ अपने घर की। अब की स्त्रियां तन मन धन से सेवा करती हैं और सिर्फ घर की नहीं, पड़ोस की भी, जहाँ भी दुनिया भर में ITO से WTO तक और युद्ध भूमि से लीला भूमि तक। तो स्नेह तत्व का क्षरण नहीं हुआ है। विद्यापति में जो एक पंक्ति है, पिया मोरा बालक हम तरुणी, वो ही स्थिति हो गई है स्त्रियों की। मतलब वो तो युवतियां हो गई हैं, उनका नैतिक कद तो बढ़ गया है, लेकिन उनके पिया अभी भी गोदी का बच्चा है और उनको पाल पोस के बड़ा करना है। और इसमें ये असंभव नहीं है, लेकिन हम चाहते हैं कि पुरुषों का भी नैतिक कद उतना ही बढ़ जाए। हम चाहते हैं कि जैसे बंटवारे में स्त्री धन के नाम पर कुछ मानवीय गुण थमा दिए जाते हैं ना। ऑल दीज सद्गुणस, सहिष्णुता, धीरज, ममता, जितने भी गुण होते हैं, सहकारिता, they become स्त्री धन। और कहते हैं कि स्त्री धन है और जितने भी मटेरियल पोजेशंस हैं वो बंटवारे में पुरुष के नाम। हम चाहते हैं कि किसी का किसी पे मोनोपोली ना हो, न सद्गुणों के झब्बे पर, सद्गुणों के धन पर स्त्रियों का हो और न ही मटेरियल उस पे सिर्फ पुरुषों का हो। दोनों बढ़ जाए, है ना। बांट चोट खाई गंगा नहर की, दिस इज how saying sums up. This is about distributive justice. तो ये जो बंटवारा वो किसी पर किसी चीज का एकाधिकार ना हो। आप अमीर खुसरो को याद करेंगे तो आपको याद है, महल अटारी भैया का दीनी, हमका दिया परदेस और लखिया बाबुल मोरे। ये सारी समस्या लखपति बाबुलों की ही है, क्योंकि जिनके पास नहीं है कुछ भी, वो कम से कम दलितों के यहाँ, आदिवासियों के यहाँ मटेरियल पोजीशन नहीं है, लेकिन साहस और ग्रेस, इसकी ये शिक्षा पिता माता अपनी बच्चियों को देते हैं और इसीलिए उनकी भाषा में वो तेजस्विता आती है और इसीलिए वो लार्जर देन लाइफ बात पैदा होती है, जिसके बिना उसका काम नहीं चलना है। क्योंकि सारी ही बात असल में क्या होता है कि अलेक्जेंडर ने जो अलेक्जेंडर से कहा था, दिस इज व्हाट मेन आर सेइंग, टेलिंग वुमन कि हे राजा दूसरे राजा से व्यवहार जैसे करता है तुम हमसे ऐसे व्यवहार करो, और कुछ नहीं चाहते। सो इट्स अ मैटर ऑफ चेंजिंग नॉट ओनली द माइंडसेट but also the expression. Too much of krodha, kama and lobha make you incompatible. One can pity men if they are a victim of the surplus of lobha, which bazaar generates, market economy generates, and krodha, and of course kamna. These have to be tamed. You have to deserve new women. because new women are offering you the best of both the worlds. They are carrying the double load. They're just asking you to be aware, to keep your antennas up there, to catch the nuances, and get you larger than themselves. So this is the slide, this is how the dialogue operates. Now, so we understand that modern women are emerging with this, with the new language that uncovers the semiotic and balances the force of symbolic and semiotic. They are they are emerging like laughing Buddhas. But Tutun they would remember, and so would Shashidi, when we were young, whenever we laughed loud and clear, our mothers took us to a corner and said, "Please, beta," and this is how my mother, before I came to hostel in Delhi, after a small town existence, she said, "Dekho beta, control yourself. Control. If you don't lose control over your own vrittis, how will you control the wider world?" Look at the language. Linguists, all mothers, what have mothers and grandmothers taught us, can be deconstructed in a very intelligent way, a very interesting way. They would say कि पहले की औरतें तो बेटा घूंघट में रहती थी, घर के बाहर नहीं जाना रहता था, तो आपस में घूंघट में तो कनखी भी मारी जा सकती है, जमाई भी ली जा सकती है, it's your own space, हिजाब में, घूंघट में. But now that we have been granted the freedom to walk tall, हमारा एक public presence है, तो हमें चाहिए कि हम जरा कदम तौल के रखें, बोले भी चम्मच से तौल कर और पाँव भी रखें तो तौल कर. ये जो मीना कुमारी वाला मैं चुप रहूंगी सिंड्रोम है, ये असल में एक तरह के भय से, मैं सेमिनार के लिए आती हूँ और माँ सुनती है, तो हजार तरह की ताकीद जो बहुत प्रैक्टिकल टिप्स है, वो कहती है कि अगर तुम लाइट हार्टेड और लाइट फुटेड दिखोगी तो कौन तुम्हें सीरियसली लेगा, तो हंसना तो बेटा नहीं, बिल्कुल पब्लिक में कहाँ, बिल्कुल नहीं, just smile. And that too not too often, because English literature में एक ब्राउनिंग का हम the last duchess पढ़ते हैं, उसमें सिर्फ duchess को इसीलिए मार डाला गया because she smiled a little too much. And her smile went everywhere. ये तो interpretation, but तो वो कहती है कि अगर तुम संभल के नहीं रहते, हम लोग जो पब्लिक फिगर, अब तो हमें इतनी स्वतंत्रता है ना, तो अपने ही संभल के रहेंगे, तो हमेशा सारी एनर्जी और सारा टाइम पीछे कुछ लोग जो चलते चले जाएंगे, जैसे पाइपर के पीछे चूहे चले थे, उस तरह से लोग पीछे रहेंगे, तुम्हें लाइट नहीं लेंगे, कौन सुनेगा तुम्हें बात में? I never, argue, I just laugh. That, whenever Mama advises me, I just laugh, but I also understand where it is coming from. It's the good girl syndrome. Women were taught to be excellent wives, excellent daughters. This feeling of excelling in all relationships, gave them this kind of a fear. Then, laughter, even they're very cautious all the time. And when a person would be cautious, and a person, he or she will never have the courage to establish a direct dialogue. When you stop answering, only when you realize that the person sitting next to you won't understand the signals, his antenna is gone low and there is no receptivity. But the very fact that we have been trying to establish a dialogue signifies that we have not yet lost faith in the innate goodness of men. And that's why language that women use gets a little dialogic. Every expression that they use is, out there to strike a chord.